Hello everybody, it's Tarun. Welcome to your 28th tutorial in the CSS for presentation course. In this tutorial, I will continue within the styling of the forms. So we'll move forward with step 3, which is fixing field sets and minor labels. The next thing I'm going to do is override the default styles on the field set elements so they are not so prominent. I'm also going to treat the legend for each field set with the same styles I've applied to the labels. As a result of styles added in step 2, the label elements for the radio buttons and checkboxes inside the field sets are styled the same as the main labels, which is not what I want. I have written styles especially for label elements inside the colors and features field sets that get rid of the color, dimensions and floats. Finally, I displayed the list of items in the color section as in line, so they would appear on one line and save some space. So the feature checkbox lists needed a few little tweaks, such as adding a left margin so that the checkboxes line up with other form controls, and resetting the clear property so that the first checkbox list item does not start below the floated legend. So this is the style. Let me just show you the style for it now. This is the style which I was talking about. Okay, and I'm going to use it in a web page now. So now let's save it and see what change it occurs in our browser. Okay, you can see that it makes it somewhat more likely to see. So now we'll move forward to the next step, which is adjusting the buttons. All that is left to do now is to fix the alignment and styling of the submit and reset buttons. I've aligned the buttons with other form controls by applying a left margin to the submit button. I will also give the buttons new dimensions, a background color and a rounded border, and a slight drop shadow. Okay. The font size inherit declaration ensures that the buttons use the same font size as the rest of the form, which is overriding the browser defaults and making the EM measurements predictable. So this will be a style. So now let's paste it in a web page. Now let's see what happens now. Okay, you can see that what I was talking about. So all there you have it now. I have concentrated on the styles used for alignment, colors and text entries in this example. For your forms, you will probably want to add styles for interactivity, such as oval styles or on the buttons and focus style on the text inputs when they are selected. So now we'll move forward to the next topic, which is styling tables. We have already covered the majority of style properties you'll need to style table contents. You can change the appearance and alignment of content within the cells with the various font, text, size and background properties as you would for any other text element. In addition, you can treat the tables and cells themselves with padding, margins and borders. There are a few CSS properties, however, that were created specifically for tables. Some of them are fairly esoteric and are briefly introduced in this tutorial, which I'll introduce to you now. This section focuses on properties that directly affect the table display, specifically the treatment of borders. So first of all, I'll tell you advanced table properties. There are a few more properties related to the CSS table model. First is table layout. The table layout properties allows author to specify one of the two methods of calculating the width of a table. The fixed value bases the table width on width values provided for the table, columns or cells. The auto value bases the width of the table on the minimum width of the contents of the table. Auto layout may display nominally more slowly because the browser must calculate the default width of every cell before arriving at the width of the table. Second one is table display values. In earlier units, I introduced the display property used to specify what kind of box an element generates in the layout. CSS is designed to work with all XML languages, not just HTML and XHTML. It is likely that other languages will have the need for tabular layouts, but will not have the elements like table, tr or td in their vocabularies. To this end, there are a variety of table-related display values that allow authors of XML languages to assign table layouts behavior to any element. The table-related display values are table, inline table, table row group. Okay, all the words which I am telling you right now have hyphen between them. Okay, table hyphen header hyphen group, table hyphen footer hyphen group, table hyphen row, table hyphen column hyphen group, table hyphen column, table hyphen cell, and table hyphen caption. You could assign these display roles to other HTML elements, but it is generally discouraged. So we'll now move forward with the normal styling table roles, which will start with separated and collapsed borders. CSS provides two methods for displaying borders between table cells, which are separated or collapsed. When borders are separated, a border is drawn on all four sides of each cell, and you can specify the space between the borders. In the collapsing border model, the border of adjacent borders collapse so that only one of the borders is visible and the space is removed. So I'll just show you a figure of both the borders, separate and collapse now. So these are the separated and collapsed border. Okay. So here you can see the separated border have space between them, and the collapsed border do not have space between the cells. The border collapse property allows authors to choose which one of these border rendering methods to use. So I'll tell you the border collapse property now and its values. So the values are separate, collapse, and the default value is separate, and it applies to table and inline table elements only, and it inherits. So first of all, we'll talk about separated border model. Table renders with separated borders by default. As I showed you in the top example, you can specify the amount of space you would like to appear between cells using the border spacing property. Okay, this is the border spacing property. The values for border spacing are two length measurements. The horizontal values comes first and applies between columns. The second measurement is applied between rows. If you provide one value, it will be used for both horizontally and vertical values. The default setting is 0, and causing the borders to double up or inside grid of the table. These are the style rules to create the custom border spacing as shown in the figure which I showed you. So this will be the style for that. Okay. So now we'll talk about collapsed border model. When the collapsed border model is chosen, only one border appears between table cells. This is the style sheet that created the bottom table in the figure. So I'll just show you the style for that now. Okay, this is the style for that. Notice that although each table has cell 2 pixel border, okay, the borders between cell measures a total of 2 pixels, not 4. Borders between cells are centered on the grid between cells. Okay, so if cells are given a 4 pixel border, 2 pixel will fall in one cell and 2 pixel in another. For odd numbers of pixels, the browser decides where the extra pixel falls. In instances where neighboring cells have different border styles, a complicated packing order is called in to determine which border will display. If the border style is set to hidden for either of the cells, then no border will display. Next, border width is considered. Wider borders take precedence over narrower ones. Finally, if all else is equal, it comes down to a matter of style. The creators of CSS rated the border styles from most to least precedence as follows: double, solid, dashed, dotted, ridge, outset, groove, and the lowest is inset. Okay, so we'll now move forward to the next topic, which is empty cells. For tables with separated borders, you can decide whether you want empty cells to display their backgrounds and borders using the empty cells property. So I'll just show you the empty cells property and its value now. The values are show, hide and inherit. The default value is show and it is applied to table cell elements, and it also inherits. For a cell to be empty, it may not contain any text, images or non-breaking spaces. It may contain carriage, returns and space characters. Okay, I'll just show you a figure which shows the previous separated table border example with its empty cell, but the cell has been hidden here with the following style rule. So I'll show you the style rule now. This is the style rule. So I'll just show you the figure now. So here you can see that I have hidden the empty cells, the cell 14 and cell 15 with empty cells property. So this was all from my side in this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll start with basic responsive web design. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.